Don't lose the race to get out of the dollar. Get out now. Get out ahead of most people, because most people are like a deer in the headlight. The U.S. dollar is the risk. So the safe haven is gold. The safe haven is silver. Gold is going to be very expensive, right? Now it's almost 5,000 an ounce, 47.60. It'll be 10,000 an ounce. It'll be 20,000 an ounce, which means if gold's at $20,000, even a 10th ounce gold coin is $2,000, right? That's a lot of purchasing power in a 10th ounce coin. So don't wait. And gold, it won't be below 5,000 for long. So you got to go to Schiff Gold. You got to buy yourself some gold and silver. And again, on the silver, buy it before we run out. I can see the shortages are coming for silver. There's just not going to be the product. There's just too big a demand. The demand for physical precious metals has been very muted over the last few years because people didn't realize what was going on.
Renowned economist Peter Schiff is urging investors to exit the U.S. dollar before the majority realizes the risk. Calling the dollar the real danger, Schiff points to gold and silver as the true safe haven assets amid accelerating currency debasement, with gold already approaching record levels and projections reaching $10,000, $20,000 per ounce. Even fractional gold could represent significant purchasing power. Schiff also warns of looming silver shortages driven by rising physical demand and limited supply. As awareness spreads, he believes precious metals will become increasingly scarce and expensive. Now, we present the clips from Peter Schiff's interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates. Thank you and enjoy the video.
Gold just broke out last year. 2024 was the first year of this move for gold. 2025 was the first year for silver. We are early in the breakout. We have years and years ahead of this move and multiples of the current move. And really, the mining stocks are just in the process of breaking out. Their breakout year is 2026, even though they had a great year in 2025, even though they tripled. The silver stocks tripled, or the mining stocks at least more than doubled. But even though they did that, their earnings went up much more than the stock price. So they ended the year cheaper than they began. So I think this is the year that they're going to finally really accelerate. And so we're early. Gold is at a new, fresh, all-time high right now. It's trading above $4,925, up better than $94 so far today. Silver also right on the highs, up $3.18. We're at $96.16. Look, it's not going to be much longer where you could buy silver below $100. So don't wait. And gold, it won't be below 5,000 for long. So you got to go to Schiff Gold. You got to buy yourself some gold and silver. And again, on the silver, buy it before we run out. I can see the shortages are coming for silver. There's just not going to be the product. There's just too big a demand. The demand for physical precious metals has been very muted over the last few years because people didn't realize what was going on. And in fact, a lot of people that might have bought gold or silver ended up buying Bitcoin. And I feel really bad for these Bitcoiners. Bitcoin is down again. Bitcoin is 89,500. It's not going anywhere. It's relatively flat on the year. Last year was my best year ever as an investor for my entire portfolio, right? And it was the best year that I had as a professional money manager for the entire portfolio, right? We killed it. We hit the ball out of the park, right? It was in a phenomenal year in 2025. And Bitcoin went down last year. This year is already off to a much better start. The returns that we're getting in January alone are incredible. And January isn't even over. And the people who are sitting in Bitcoin, not only did they miss out on all the gains from 2025, they're missing out on all these gains from 2026. And as big as the gains were last year, I actually think they're going to be bigger this year, as amazing as that is, because people think, how the hell could you beat last year? Because last year was so strong. Well, I think we're going to beat it. And of course, as far as the amount of money that customers will make who have these strategies, we're starting from a much bigger base. So even if the return percentage-wise isn't as big as last year, the dollar value of the gain will be bigger because we're starting from a bigger number. But I actually think the percentage gains could be bigger too. This is an explosive year, I think, and Bitcoin is just going sideways. And, even though it hasn't crashed yet, and I'm surprised that the bottom hasn't dropped out yet, but it will. But if you're sitting there in Bitcoin and you feel good because it hasn't crashed, the losses that you are experiencing right now is the opportunity cost. While you're sitting in your Bitcoin hoping that Bitcoin goes up, you're missing what actually is going up. You don't own any gold. You don't own any silver. And you don't own any mining stocks. The GDX right now is up, 4% on the day. The GDXJ is up 6%. So we're getting a bigger move in the mid-tier stocks now. So the world is going to move away from the dollar. And a big part of that, right, is buying gold, replacing U.S. dollar reserves with gold. And once gold is the reserve, nobody needs dollars. You don't need dollars to buy our products because, we have huge trade deficits. And the world is going to take America down several pegs because we just threw it in their face. Donald Trump just gave the world several reasons to do what it should have done a long time ago.
Analysts argue that gold's breakout began in 2024, followed by silver in 2025, placing markets in the early stages of a multi-year precious metals bull run. With gold trading near fresh all-time highs above $4,900 and silver approaching $100, experts warn prices may soon move beyond reach for late buyers. Despite sharp gains in 2025, mining stocks remain undervalued as earnings growth has outpaced share prices. As global demand shifts away from the U.S. dollar toward gold reserves, 2026 is shaping up to be an explosive year for metals and miners alike. Let's get back to the interview.
Go buy gold, buy silver, and people keep saying, why are you telling people to buy the top? And that's because it won't be the top for long. Remember, I forget, I said it first earlier last year, but I said the longer you wait to buy the higher the high you're going to buy. And that's it. Yes, I'm telling people to buy the top because today's top won't be the top for long. There's not going to be big pullbacks. Yeah, there'll be some, but they're not going to be big enough to wait for. And you never know exactly when they're going to happen because there's so much money waiting to come in to gold and silver. That's what the precious metals mining stock investors still haven't come to terms with. How much higher gold and silver prices are going. They're still worried that we're going to have a big drop. That's why they're reluctant to bid up these prices because they don't believe they're sustainable. The only thing that's not sustainable is how low they are. They are going to keep going up. This is going to begin the mass exodus out of U.S. Treasury, out of all U.S. dollar-denominated debt. This is it. The dollar's days are over as the reserve currency. The reign is coming to an end. Again, I didn't think that Greenland, might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but that's what it was. And it's over. And this process is not going to stop. Again, you can't put that genie back in the bottle, right? Gold was telling you that. Silver was telling you that early. And I was saying that gold and silver were first, right? Talking about the 2008 crisis, gold and silver were like subprime, the most sensitive to the dollar losing its status. Reacted first. First gold, then silver, other precious metals. Now it's moving into the bond market and the foreign exchange market. And you're going to start to see some big moves down. Now, the Trump administration, they're desperate, right? They got Fannie and Freddie buying a couple of $100 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities. This is kind of like pushing against the tide. It's not going to stop. Rates are going to rise. Long-term rates are going up. Mortgage rates are going up. This whole house of cards is going to come collapsing down. Don't lose the race to get out of the dollar. Get out now. Get out ahead of most people because most people are like a deer in the headlight. But you got to sell U.S. stocks. You got to sell U.S. bonds. You got to sell U.S. dollars. You got to be into foreign stocks. You got to be into value. You got to be into dividends. You got to be into resources. You got to be into the emerging markets. You pretty much have to own the portfolios that I have been creating for people for years because I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming a long time ago. And again, we ended up delaying the day of reckoning. We kicked the can down the road, but I knew that eventually our luck would run out. Our ability to do that would run out. And Donald Trump just accelerated the process. That should have happened, right? Anyway, now it's begun, finally. So the returns are going to be phenomenal, right? The returns on gold stocks already beat the S&P for the past 10 years. I mean, gold obviously kills it, gold and silver. But foreign stocks way outperformed the U.S. market last year. They're already way outperforming it this year. And the year just began. So you got to get into these portfolios. What is about to happen is exactly what I've designed my strategy to protect you from and to enable you to profit. Most people are going to get wiped out, right? We don't have to share in that fate. Unfortunately, I mean, I wish there was something I could do to help avert it, but I can't, right? I try to go on Fox News and tell the truth, and the president gets me kicked off, right? You're not allowed to criticize Trump on Fox News, right? So much for freedom of the press. But look, there's nothing I can do about this disaster, right? But I can save as many people as I can, right? We don't all have to go broke just because the country is going to go broke, right? A few Americans could manage to survive it financially, and they will if they follow my plan. I've got this economic survival plan that will not only protect your wealth, but allow you to increase your wealth as the dollar collapses and other assets rise in value. What's lost in America will be gained outside America, but you don't have to live outside America. You can own the assets that are gaining the value that U.S. assets are losing, right? That's what we're doing. So make sure and go to the Europac website, europac.com. Look at my 5 mutual funds. You can buy them all, no load, any discount broker. But better yet, just call up the phone number, schedule an appointment, talk to the representative, and transfer your retirement account over, your IRA over. Let us help you manage that. Let us help you build and manage your portfolio so that you can survive and thrive during very, very trying economic times that are going to be following the United States. And the timeline, I think, now is short, right? I mean, everything is kind of happening, and I think the pace is going to quicken. Remember the old saying, how did you go broke? Well, slowly at first, then all at once. Well, I think we've gone through the slowly part. We're now at the all at once part. So you have to act quickly. You got to buy your physical gold and silver. If you don't already have gold and silver, shame on you, but buy it now. I know I've been saying it, but you could also buy more, right? I mean, you never have enough, right? So go to Schiff Gold. And again, everybody who follows me should open up a T-Gold account because we're going to need T-Gold one day. I mean, we're going to need an alternative monetary system because the dollar is going to collapse. People aren't going to want to deal in dollars. They're going to want to deal in alternative. And the best money is gold. And what makes gold even better is the internet. Tokenization is the ability to transact in gold without actually having to physically carry it around. That way you can transact in very small increments. Because remember, gold is going to be very expensive, right? Now it's almost 5,000 an ounce, 47.60. It'll be 10,000 an ounce. It'll be 20,000 an ounce, which means if gold's at $20,000, even a 10th ounce gold coin is $2,000, right? That's a lot of purchasing power in a 10th ounce coin, right? So the best way to spend it will be if you can have a token and have a third party that you trust store your gold so that you can transact in your gold without actually having to hold it. Now, you don't want to have all your gold with a third party, but the gold that you want to use in commerce as a medium of exchange, yes, makes it so much simpler, right? And so go and set up a T-Gold account.
Analysts argue that buying gold and silver at today's highs is not buying the top, but entering a long-term breakout that is still in its early stages. With limited pullbacks and massive capital waiting to move into precious metals, prices are expected to climb relentlessly. As confidence in U.S. Treasuries and dollar-denominated assets erodes, gold and silver are leading a broader shift into foreign assets, resources, and value investments. This accelerating exodus marks the beginning of the dollar's end as the global reserve currency. Share your thoughts on his analysis in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, please support us by turning on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the following video. Thanks for watching.